And now I'm going to read the housekeeping. Welcome committee members, liaisons, and members of the public to the Legal Services Trust Fund Commission Executive Committee meeting. Thank you for joining us. We are using Zoom with the goal to foster a more inclusive environment and effective meeting. If you would like to comment during the meeting, please use the raise hand feature. Please utilize this tool to virtually indicate that you would like to speak in order to help the chair facilitate the discussion. A friendly reminder that this is a video conference and to please be aware of your surroundings behind you. All Legal Services Trust Fund Commission and committee meetings will be recorded and posted to the State Bar website. Zoom captioning is available. To enable, select live transcript at the bottom of your Zoom screen, then select enable auto transcription. Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. Why don't we do roll call?
Okay. Connolly,
Present.
Al-Saraf.
Present.
Great. We have a quorum. Let me do our liaisons. Do we have LAC here? Anyone from LAC? Selena? I didn't see Selena. Okay. And I see Laura and Melanie.
Selena's not able to join. I think Zach was going to join on her behalf. So perhaps the attendee in the pool that we cannot see is Zach.
Zach, if that's you, we're having issues with promotion. Can you drop me or Elizabeth or Shannon a quick email just so then we can figure out another way to get you on, or telephone in? I don't really know what a workaround is, but at least if we know that's you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go back to okay, and then we have State Bar staff. Elizabeth's here, Chris here, Jennifer, and I don't see Brady or Raul, but I think we can proceed without them. So turn it back over to you, Erica.
Okay, great. We'll do a brief call for public comment, and let's keep any comments at 3 minutes. I know we're sort of in a little bit of a funky spot because we don't know if there's someone in the attendees, but if there is, they could raise their hand.
The number of attendees hasn't changed.
Okay, but
Okay.
you still don't see the attendee, right? To see if their hand is raised.
Yeah, I still cannot see the name.
Okay.
Okay. Well.
Erica, can I make a suggestion? Since
sure.
If there is an attendee that is in the attendee room that's trying to raise your hand, we don't.
Sorry to interrupt. So Lauren is in the attendee pool and she's trying to raise her hand, but the button does not work.
Okay.
Okay. So Lauren's the attendee.
Lauren from LAC.
Okay.
So I have a couple suggestions then.
Sure.
So Lauren, if you can hear us, then maybe if you can log out and log back in. Sometimes it's just a Zoom glitch. The other option is maybe if you call in, then at least you're on and we can try to, if you use your phone, then maybe we can elevate you that way. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out workarounds in case somebody has public comment, or Lauren, if you have public comments. But you can't message us, and okay, she signed off. So I think maybe she heard me then. Okay.
Okay. Well, for now, why don't we move forward? And if we see more attendees coming in, then we can address public comment at a later point.
We do have an attendee who has joined again, though I cannot see them. I just see that they're number one.
Okay, so maybe it's not, my suggestion didn't work.
I'll look online to see if there's a tech resolution.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And while we're waiting, Shannon, and you might want to put an IT ticket really quickly. Okay.
Okay. Why don't we move forward and then we can circle back to public comment if something comes up on the way. Does that sound okay with everybody? Okay. Why don't we move to agenda item 3, which is the approval of the minutes. Any concerns, Amin, with the minutes?
Didn't have
Yeah,
any.
Okay, me neither. Up for making a motion?
Can I make a motion as to both? Collectively?
Great. Yeah, and I'll second that.
Okay, great. I'll do roll call. Al-Saraf?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
We have 2 yes, no no's, motion passes.
Great. Okay, let's move.
Lauren's name appears in the attendee list now.
Okay, hold on, let me promote her then really quick.
Oh, great.
Sorry about that, Lauren. We have no idea what happened. We could not see you.
No problem at all. The second time I joined from the public page, the link on the public page, and the first time I had joined from the calendar item. I don't know if that made a difference.
So there is
Hmm.
something with those two links, Shannon, if you can help us out. Okay.
Great. Lauren, do you have any public comment that you want to make?
I was going to comment briefly on 6033.
Please.
Just to say that we are in support.
Awesome. Okay, great to hear. Awesome. Then why don't we go ahead and continue on with our action items. So let's go to agenda item 4.1, which I believe is Dwan. You're handling this? Oh, you're still on mute.
I just want to give everyone an update on the Legal Services Trust Fund Commission strategic planning process. So as you all know, following we had the in-person in February, which went great, a lot of great discussion. Following that meeting, we have met with the smaller kind of working group about next steps along the way with our consultants. We've developed a list of 15 groups of stakeholders to interview. So we're going to do a combination of in-depth interviews with those 15 groups. And I call them groups because some of those groups, like with the legal aid services part, we have 110. So we're trying to get a cross section. So one grouping is actually like Los Angeles County programs. And within that, there's 4 programs. Another grouping is like Northern California programs. Another grouping is like rural. So we're trying to like, with 15 in-depth interviews, really broaden that. And like for another example is like Judicial Council, it's going to be Laura and Melanie. So some of the groupings will be like multiple people, either at an organization or a stakeholder, or where we're doing kind of combinations. But we've developed a list of 15. We are also going to do a short survey to the entire legal aid community, very short survey to kind of supplement the in-depth interviews. So that's going along. That's probably going to start to, we're going to get the working group is going to get a set of questions that the consultants have developed. We'll review that, and then they're going to start interviews shortly, and then the survey will come. We're hoping to provide a more in-depth update to the commission at the end of March. The other thing that we discussed with that working group and the consultants is like, what do we want the format of the strategic plan to look like? And we looked at a couple models, and what we're landing on is something that's kind of a little akin to the Board of Trustees. And I can share that with the fuller commission, but it's pretty detailed. It's a 5-year work plan, but it gives really kind of specifics in terms of, it'll have a mission statement, it'll have like broad strokes, but it also will outline like initiatives that we want to undertake in the next 5 years. So it gets pretty specific in that way, which is great. I think it will be a really good roadmap for the staff and the commission to develop our programming and to develop focus areas. Eric, I don't know if there's anything else I left off.
Nope. I would just echo that it's very exciting, and I'm really excited to see the work product. I think it'll be a very good document for us to kind of refer back to as we kind of move forward. So, and very much appreciate the consultants' efforts and staff's efforts on all of this. I know it's like a lot of work to get all this done, so very much appreciative of that. And of course, and I also want to shout out just the working group for making the time to kind of show up and give input on that too. So very excited. I can't wait.
And then just one more update related to that. The consultants did actually a really good job taking like all of the brainstorming session and putting it into 5, I would say, broad category and buckets. They previewed that with me yesterday, and we'll share it with the commission. One thing they did suggest, because they heard a lot of, well, 2 things I'll say, that they heard like pretty much consensus around having a mission statement. And so that's where we're going to take that. I don't think we need to, we'll update the commission, but that is something that we will develop so that it'll be part of the strategic plan. And the second thing that they heard I want to say either near unanimous support or very close to that, is that infrastructure committee or whatever, what we want to call it, group committee, but some subgroup of staff and commissioners to work on a restructuring of the commission itself. And then I mentioned this to Erica already. Our office has also grown a lot, and we would like to kind of fall in line with whatever the commission kind of restructures. We will probably do an internal restructure to not like match it completely, but depending on the way that the direction the commission is going to go in, our office is going to kind of restructure somewhat accordingly to that. And I'll just give an example. We talked at length about we've been having a model of pretty much more or less 1 grant, 1 subcommittee. It doesn't seem that tenable given that our grant is growing. So one option, and again, we can field a lot of options in that subcommittee, could be maybe one committee that's focused on compliance issues, but across all of our grants, and then maybe another committee that stands up like new initiatives and new grants. And then that would shrink it, and then we would still have like a rules committee, and then maybe we start up an evaluations committee. But that seems to be a little bit more of a maybe a efficient way to approach it. But again, this could be worked out with that infrastructure committee, and they can look at different options and come to the commission with a recommendation.
That all sounds great. Very exciting. I have a couple questions on the kind of process because
Yes.
I thought the energy, the input, everything that we got at the meeting was fantastic. And I want to make sure we're kind of keeping a hold of that and getting the feedback and the energy kind of continuing to sort of build momentum among folks. For something like the mission statement, for example, how do we plan on kind of carrying that out? Because I think that's the sort of thing that, we didn't have obviously the time to do it or to get into it while we were all together. What's the sort of thought on like what we do to kind of develop that, bring it back to the commission? And then I guess sort of connected to that, what is the update in March? What do you envision that looking like? Is that going to be more of like a discussion about it, or is it just kind of like here's what's going on? The subcommittee will kind of update everybody about what's going on, that sort of thing.
No, those are really two great questions. So I would say the update in March is kind of like the update I just provide you, with probably a little bit more detail and something for the commissioners to kind of look at on the screen. If you want, what I could suggest to the consultants, maybe we could do a mini brainstorming session around the mission statement, because that seems to be the one that I think would warrant a little bit more wider commission feedback, because between March and June, there's not another commission meeting, right? So we want to get feedback. We're going to have to rely heavily on the working group. The other thought that Erica had was like reaching out to commissioners that maybe aren't on the working group but might be interested. I don't know. And again, that's the tricky part. Like, would we then reach out to every single commissioner, or just the ones that expressed interest in order to be inclusive, right? I don't have kind of another idea on that. I don't know if we want to call another commission meeting. It's just really hard to plan another ad hoc meeting. And I'll have to say, our goal is to have it approved in June, and I think we should definitely work towards that goal. But the caveat is that that's a self-imposed goal that we have. Like, it's not that there's no reason. I think the sooner we have it, the sooner it's easier to like work through the year. But if there are loose ends that need to be tied, we could presumably go into August. But I would really recommend not, because like you said, the momentum. So really now it's about how to get like more inclusive, like I think feedback from the entire commission. And I don't know if I have a good response for you other than what the consultants are recommended, that it's the working group, because with the commission our size, what they have said to us, that it's kind of unwieldy in order to do that like at every commission meeting. We have a lot of commission business too. So again, I don't have a really great solution for you. I don't know if the two of you have a suggestion, because we'll just can take the suggestion and run with it.
I mean, I don't know that I have a good answer to it. I feel like, to me, that the mission statement, I love the infrastructure, and I think that those kinds of things are sort of like ongoing. Smaller groups reporting to the bigger group makes sense in that sense. The mission statement is the one thing that it felt like, having that more broad-based input would be very valuable. And I don't know if this is the sort of thing where like, maybe we did a little bit of brainstorming. Maybe it's not as much brainstorming as it is kind of getting people to sort of submit proposals, like their idea for what a mission statement would be. And then we kind of like that group kind of pulls it down, maybe massages it a little bit. It comes up with a few options for folks. I don't know. It just feels like it might be useful. I like the idea of having everybody kind of be a part of something as central and foundational as that. And if they don't submit anything, great, but the idea that we all kind of like consider it and discuss it, maybe in a more narrowed, focused way with options is more efficient.
So the consultants didn't say this to me, but this is what I was gathering, that the working group would come up with a mission statement so we could do it the other way around,
Okay.
but I don't know if you're going to get like a lot of people that are going to be, because it's kind of hard to draft a mission statement. What I would
Yeah.
say that is maybe the working group drafts either like one, or if you want like choices, 2 or 3, and then maybe either, and here's where I would need the 2 of you to provide feedback. We call a special commission meeting just to look at the mission statement before June, or else the other option is we just send it out an email, and if people have thoughts, then they just respond back, and then that working group will take all the feedback back and consider it. We can do it. I'm open to that. I just know that it's very hard to schedule a commission meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
We-
don't think another ad hoc commission meeting is my preference. I sort of think you, Juan, you can tell me like whether this is feasible. Like we could say maybe at the March meeting, the working group's gonna work on the mission statement. If you have thoughts, send them, to whoever you want. You don't have to draft it, but if you have like things that you wanna, feedback
it.
you want them to include, and then you guys can kind of like, assuming it's all copacetic with Bagley Keene, et cetera, kind of like put it together or work with the working group, and then we can kind of, but that this way we give everyone the opportunity without, creating more, making it scheduling difficult.
Yeah, we could do that, and then we could still do the other way. Once the working group has developed a couple,
Yes.
or one, we could send it out to the full commission in advance of the June meeting for more, like if they want to really look at it and like wordsmith it for feedback. Excuse me. And I would say we're not starting completely from scratch, is what I imagine, because though we don't have a formal mission statement, the business perfection codes, the preamble to it, and the beginning of the IOLTA statute does say what the IOLTA statute should entail, and it's I can't remember the phrasing off the top. Like funding to increase the delivery of legal services in California, and then the IOLTA, the statute that codifies the commission, also has some language around kind of grant making. I think we could use those two as a starting point, and maybe we fuse it, and then we add some things depending on what else the commission wants. And there's this whole idea of like convener, and I don't know if I know, again, that one is one I don't know if there's consensus, but if there is some themes that like are resonating, that I think that's where you would like layer it on. But it's not like we're starting completely from scratch, because
Right.
I think the commission does have an idea of what you all do, which is grant making, right? Now it's really like, how do we describe that grant making? And then there are some foundational issues, right? Are we going to be limiting our grant making to like eligibility for like IOLTA and EF, which more or less we have been doing somewhat? I mean, some of these others are a little bit more flexible, or are we thinking grant making at large? And I don't think that's where the commission is going. So, but again, there's like degrees even within that, like how far up and how, so there is some decision making point. And I don't know if the mission statements needs to like tackle every single like there a hypothetical that might come through, but I think the more specific obviously gives you all more direction, but we have to kind of balance that, right? And mission statements usually don't, again, contemplate every hypothetical situation for every like organization or entity.
That's true. I mean, I think it's like, but I do think that they can be very useful, like guiding principles. So, and that might be the feedback that we solicit, is raise that particular issue. Like, the things that we need to kind of think through are, the scope of the grants, the scope of our role within the grant community, right? Like, do we want to be in a convening, or, do we want to have as part of our mission, like, promoting collaboration among different like funders? Do we want to do training, right? And that's where I think it might be useful to get on the front end some of the commissions like feedback, just to get more buy-in later.
And at the end, the last agenda item is for me to preview the March meeting for you, and you'll see it's actually from our 4 or 5 meetings that we have a year, this is the one that's usually light. So what we can do is like build in more of that brainstorming discussion, and some of these, like we can take it back. Erica's on that working group too. You take it back to the working group and the consultants and say, we have 45 minutes. So instead of maybe a 5 or 10 minute update, why don't we use like 45 minutes of the commission meeting, and let's brainstorm at some of like the fundamental things. And maybe it's this like one of them could be, again, the grant making, are we sticking with IOLTA, like eligibility generally, I would say speaking, or are we, is it a little bit more broad? And then some of these, like maybe we pick 2 or 3 kind of things, and then discuss a little bit further. Because I don't know if we unpacked every single, I would say we identified a lot of issues. There was a lot of issue spotting, but I don't know if we got to, in that day, a lot of like where we landed on it. So I think that's the
Yeah.
piece that you're saying, Amin, is like warrants more. And I agree with you, more of something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree
Um,
too.
But time is the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I think the idea of kind of doing email outreach on the front end and then
Mhm.
further on the back end makes sense. And to the extent that, I mean, this is, I guess this is, I would imagine this is considered commission business. This is like,
Mhm.
so on the Bagley Clean front, to the extent folks wanted to like join the discussion among the working group, what would we'd have a limit to that, right? And it seems like,
Yeah, we're probably hitting the limit for it to be like a working group and not like a subcommittee. I mean, I would need to check with Brady, because that working group isn't delegated with any authority at all. It's just a mock-up recommendations. So does that still, but I don't know. It kind of depends on the volume of interest. So maybe we can go from there and then figure out a way if people want to come. Like if there's just 1 or 2 more commissioners, then I wonder if they could we can just ask Brady if they come, and that would be okay for a working group and not have to be like a subcommittee. But I can't answer that question. That's a Brady question.
okay.
Anything else, Tuan, that you want to cover on this?
That's it.
Okay, great. Well, I'm excited about the update, and I look forward to the discussion on our mission statement. Okay, so 4.2, this is the Business and Professions Code Section 6033 proposal, and I'll turn it over to Elizabeth.
Thanks, Erica. So Business and Professions Code 6033 refers to or authorizes the state bar to collect donations from attorneys towards what we call the Justice Gap Fund. The Justice Gap Fund was created in about 2007 as an opt-in donation on the attorney licensing fee statement. And it was developed in response to declining IOLTA revenues. It was thought of as a way to supplement IOLTA in a time when IOLTA revenues were at an all-time low. The current suggested donation amount is $100. And in about 2010 or 2011, we also worked with LAC to have an opt-out donation, which was also included in the attorney licensing fee statement. That opt-out amount started as $10 and has slowly increased to $40. And then a few years ago, it was increased to $45, so that the additional $5 could be used to fund provisionally licensed lawyers at legal aid organizations. In 2022, that $5 was redirected to fund our legal aid leaders fellowships for summer law students at our grantee organizations. So the total combined revenue for the Justice Gap Fund is typically between, over the last several years, $6 to $8 million annually. And we, by statute, combine that revenue amount with the rest of our IOLTA revenue to be distributed to our grantees by formula. Because we are now distributing record amounts of dollars due to the increasing IOLTA revenues over the last several years, we now have an opportunity to be responsive to grantees in emergency and urgent situations, like a disaster. So focusing on this smaller funding source of the Justice Gap Fund, we've discussed with LAC and other stakeholders the possibility of a statutory change to amend Business and Professions Code 6033 to allow for more flexible use of the Justice Gap Fund revenue. I think as a part of this, we would also want to revise a provision in that statute to encourage us, State Bar staff, as well as the Legal Services Trust Fund Commission, to seek stakeholder and community feedback on the use of the funds in the future. So with that, I can share with you very quickly the very rough kind of discussion draft of the statute that we've shared with LAC and some other stakeholders. So this is Business and Professions Code 6033, and the red and the strikeout is what we're proposing to strike out and to add. And so this, instead of as provided in 6216, which is the formula, we are suggesting to fund projects responding to significant issues as determined by the commission impacting the provision of legal services to indigent Californians. Then we have a couple examples: disaster legal services, pro bono legal services, and legal aid recruitment and retention. We also have language that the commission would determine how the funds would be allocated and what kind of grant process would be developed to allocate these funds. And then the commission may also distribute the funds to QLSPs and to support centers pursuant to the formula if they deem that to be necessary given kind of the IOLTA funding situation. And so what I referred to earlier about community feedback, section B here really was related to implementation, but in talking with Selena, I think we would probably revise this to have a feedback opportunity built into the statute for stakeholders and grantees to provide feedback to the commission and staff on perhaps significant issues or use of funds in any given time period.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Amin, do you have any questions or thoughts on this?
No, I was just looking at, is there a time frame? It doesn't look like there was one in the original.
Oh, when this would happen? that
Well,
your question?
that's one question, but the other question is sort of like do we distribute this on an annual basis, or is there
Yes,
is it more open-ended than that?
we distribute it annually with the rest of the IOLTA distribution.
Okay.
And when we spoke to Selena, Elizabeth, and I on this, we made it really clear that the commission, because she asked about whether if the commission intent was going to have like a reserve for this funding,
Yeah.
and we said that this was not for reserves. Reserves, we already have our reserve policy for the IOLTA, but this we would try to like push out pretty much on an annual basis, or if you guys go on a multi-year, but pretty much we will not be holding the funds, the $6 to $8 million, as any type of like reserve or anything like that. This is money that would be going out to the program regularly.
And then in terms of the timing of the process, what does that look like now?
Yeah, so Selena has the language right now, and she's going to be advocating with the legislature, and she's talking to programs to see to make sure that there aren't any concerns. This is related to I always get the name, so Elizabeth, state bar fee bill, right? Elizabeth, is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit of a different cycle than some of our other funding streams. So it's a later process, because with like HP funding, Care Corp funding, that all is like can be reflected in the May revise, and the governor signs it later in the year. This one is a little bit later in the year, in that, what is it, Elizabeth, like July, August?
Yeah, that's usually when the fee bill is worked out with the legislature.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
But still soon, it's this cycle still, if it were to happen.
Okay.
I don't have any other questions on it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So I do have a proposed motion for your consideration. So I'll put that up on the screen. And so typically, the commission hasn't approved when we've moved forward with statutory changes, but we did want to kind of officially get XCOM's support on this as we move forward.
And the board will then approve this as part of their legislative priorities, right, Elizabeth?
Yeah. So and the board meets in a couple weeks in March, and a couple weeks later from today, this month, where they will be presented also with this to be added to the state bar's ledger priorities.
Great. Amin, do you have any concerns with the resolution?
No, it looks good to me.
Okay. I'm happy to make the motion this time.
I will second.
Do a roll call.
Thanks.
Al-Saraf,
Yes.
Connolly,
Yes.
2 yes, 0 no's, motion passes.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. Thank you guys so much for that. It's another very exciting, hopefully legislative change that'll give us, in the spirit of our strategic plan, some much needed flexibility. And I appreciate the work that staff has done to like get this. And I know LAC has also been helping out as well. So Lauren, thank you very much for the support on getting this bill moving forward. All right, why don't we move to 4.3, which is the recommendation of a delegation of authority regarding to reallocate Cal HFA foreclosure prevention grant funds. It was a little hard for me to get all of that out. And Chris, I believe that's on you, right?
That is mine. Thank you. Let
Awesome.
me
Thanks.
start sharing my screen. Okay. Good afternoon. I have just a few slides for this agenda item. It's relatively quick, I think. As Erica just said, this is about staff's recommendation to the executive committee that it seek delegated authority from the full commission when it meets later this month to reallocate California Housing Finance Agency, that's Cal HFA, foreclosure prevention grant funds. Very briefly in the way of background, the commission and state bar administer the Cal HFA grants under a contract with the Cal HFA, California Housing Finance Agency, Homeowner Relief Corporation. The reason we are bringing this recommendation to the executive committee is because it was this committee that exercised delegated authority to make these awards. And that was back in the summer of 2022. The grants fund legal services to prevent qualifying or eligible homeowner mortgage delinquencies, defaults, foreclosures, loss of utilities or home energy services, and displacements of homeowners experiencing financial hardship after January 21, 2020. And if you're wondering about that date, this may jog your memory that these funds are essentially provided by the American Rescue Plan Act. They were pandemic relief funds. So the committee did make these awards. The grant period began July 1, 2022. They are 3-year grants, so they run all the way to June 30th, 2025. And there are 11 IOLTA-funded organizations that together received a little over $11 million for their 3-year grant periods. I think it's 9 QLSPs and 2 support centers. So the segue out of background and into the proposal is that you may recall that about 7 months into the 3-year grant period, so less than 1/3 of the way through the entire grant period, one of the grantees that was public counsel voluntarily relinquished some of their Cal HFA grant funds, $216,594. I do want to apologize. I think that 0.3 is actually a typo. It was not in 30 cents. I think that was originally like a third item in a list. So it's just $216,594. That was something that they decided to do because they realized they could perform all of their deliverables with fewer funds than they had requested. So this did not entail a decrease in their deliverables for their approved project. They just anticipated having funds left over. So they volunteered to give some back and to consolidate potential Cal HFA grant reallocations, because it was so early in the 3-year grant period. State bar staff recommended at the time that we actually wait to reallocate that $216,000 out of what was over 11 million until a little more time had gone by in case other Cal HFA grantees also wanted to voluntarily relinquish funds that they thought they might have left over, so that the commission, this committee, might run 1 at most 2 reallocations instead of doing them sort of ad hoc every single time a grantee essentially said we might have funds left over. So we held on that reallocation until now. So December 31st, 2023 was the midpoint for the 3-year grant period. And it being the midpoint, State Bar staff reached out to the 11 programs, including Public Counsel, and asked them to assess their spending to date and to project their spending for the second half of the grant period in order to let us know if they thought they could absorb more funding to perform their approved projects, or if they, like Public Counsel did about 7 months in, thought they might have funds left over, and if there were a reallocation, they might volunteer to give those funds, to kind of put those funds up so that other Cal HFA grantees might absorb them. That was in January. At least 3 of the 11 grantees did indicate that they would be interested in absorbing more Cal HFA grant funds if they became available, and there is at least $216,000 available. None responded that they expected to have funds left over. So we are looking at the original $216,000 some odd dollars from $594 from Public Counsel that is still available to reallocate. In determining whether to reallocate these funds, State Bar staff and also the California Housing Finance Agency Homeowner Relief Corporation, with whom we meet every other week, encourages this committee and the commission to think about the amount of funds that are available, the time that's left in the grant period, the ability of grantees to absorb more funds. And since we on the staff side have had time to think about those things, we do recommend reallocating that $216,000 at this time. There's about 16 months left in the grant period. No one else has volunteered to relinquish funds. Everyone else projects spending down. There are at least 3 programs that are interested in receiving more funding. And on the staff side, that was sufficient to bring forward the recommendation to you that the commission and this committee reallocate. It is our proposal that the executive committee seek delegated authority to reallocate on behalf of the full commission. There's 2 reasons for that. One is the total number of grantees is just 11 organizations. The current amount, $260,000, and interest in receiving more funds is limited to 3 providers, and we think that supports sort of a streamlined process. The committee could, this could be a very quick process that the committee could finalize if it had delegated authority before the full commission meets again in late June, which would just give the 3 or so, 1, 2, 3 or so organizations that might receive more funding a little more time to spend it down. The other reason is, and this was in the it was a footnote in the memo for today's meeting. The State Bar and Cal HFA HRC will likely need to amend their agreement to allow for a reallocation, their contract. But both agencies are supportive of pursuing this. It's just a matter of signing an addendum to the contract. So essentially, with the timing of that addendum being slightly uncertain as of today, we think the added flexibility of delegated authority would be ideal. Again, just to preserve the amount of time that would remain for the 1, 2, 3 or so organizations that might receive more funds, for them to be able to spend it down. I'm more than happy to take questions, but I am going to advance to the last slide, which is the proposed resolution, but I'll stop and see if there are any questions.
And one thing I'll just add that if Amin and Erica, you decide to send this recommendation up to the commission, what I suggest is our XCOM meeting in June, that we move it up in May, just so not close in time to the commission, but gives programs a little bit more time. But it's easy. It's just the 3 of us figuring out our schedules.
This all makes sense to me. I don't have any particular questions on it. It makes sense to have the commission delegate to us and try to be more flexible on it. I mean, do you have any?
Same. No, I'll make the motion.
Great. I'll second.
Roll call. Al-Sarraf,
Yes.
Connolly,
Yes.
2 yes, 0 no's, motion passes.
Great.
Thank you very much. And that's it for this item.
Awesome. And Chris, thank you so much for the great presentation and giving us all the helpful information on this stuff.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, I think we're on to our last piece, which is reviewing the agenda for the March 29th meeting, which we
And,
sort of started talking about a little bit, but
Yeah, so before I share my screen, I just want to preemptively say that most of the business items on this agenda have to do with carryover and budget revisions, because as you all know, the close of the year and then programs have to a certain amount of time to submit. And so staff have been hard at work reviewing it and elevating it to the kind of the respective committees for further review. Um, and then that's all coming now. And there was a high volume this year of, like, I would say, budget revisions and carryover requests. And so some of the staff have suggested to pull it up to a consent item, but I have actually left it on here. And this is probably, Erica and Amin, you all let me know whether you warrants. Some of them I think we should discuss, but then I don't know, separating them, then I'll just show it to you, but I wanted to give you that background. So I've left it all in the business items, even though some of the committee coordinators have suggested bringing some of them up to consent. And there's some that probably could, but I don't know, then it feels like we're picking and choosing a little bit. So that's the caveat before I share my screen. Okay, so give me a second. Okay, can you all see this? Okay, so I'm going to skip over the consent. Okay, and again, people have said really great things about the consent item. So if we want to pull things up, I think then that will give us room to have that more like lengthy discussion about the trust fund commission, because a lot of these are like, carryovers and budget revisions at the respective committee level. So I'll say that there are, honestly, I can't remember right now off the top of my head, out of the IOLTA and the EF, one of them was a very large, and Danielle might know, had some large carryovers. Can Danielle help me out? Because I can't remember off the top of my head. She has her hand raised.
Yes, I just promoted Danielle to the panelist.
Okay. Danielle, I think I should have let your comment in this, but I wanted to scrub all the staff comments. Danielle, are you on? Yeah, can you help me out? Which one is the one that had a large,
Sure.
the two issues from the programs?
Sure. Yeah. So 2023 has some large carryovers, particularly for EAF, and one grantee that we've created a working group, or the Eligibility and Budget Review Committee has created a working group to get some additional information on. Whereas the 2022 EAF carryovers, that's currently at 4.1, were smaller, and the committee had no issues with.
And there was one grantee, California, the
Women's Law Center.
Women's Law Center. The committee actually did approve the recommended to approve their carryover, but it was very large. I think it was like 100%. And so they didn't have the question that was like during that committee meeting was for a lot, and there was a grouping of them. I think there were like 4 or 5 of them that had very large carryovers, more than 50%. Some of them were 70%, some were 8%. And I would say all the programs showed up and made really great. It was really helpful to hear them. It's laid out what their spending plan was. And I think the committee felt very comfortable with the spending plan. And Danielle and I felt very comfortable with the spending plan, because one organization, I mean, they were even like, this is our spend down rate, 100 and something thousand. We're confident even by May that so we don't have concerns, but California Women's Law Center, it was a little bit ambiguous to us whether they weren't clear in their spend down rate. So what the committee wanted was for them to give staff kind of the spending plan, and then if we felt comfortable, then it would go along. But I'm just saying this, like, I don't know, again, would the commission want to hear like all those details, or this is why I didn't pull it up to consent, because they're very large carryovers.
so can you remind me? I thought, is it not for this year that we gave them like more, like 2 or 3 or 4 years or whatever to spend down, or is that for the next allocation? I'm just trying to recall, like, my view is like generally with budget modifications, we don't, assuming they're not on not qualifying expenses, we're pretty deferential on those. But with carryovers, I guess
it ended. The carryover for the EF 2023 was the 2-year mark, right, Danielle? That's why the carryover. The budget revisions, I don't think we had as much issue with. So we really are talking about just the carryover of these issues. That's the,
For
warranted
EAF,
more of a,
okay.
it was a robust discussion at the committee level. Again, and that's why I didn't pull it up to consent because I don't know how you and Amin feel about wanting it to be that level of robust discussion at the committee. So the committee is aware that,
What was the vote total?
Danielle, do you
Was there
remember?
like significant opposition to approving them?
No, they all passed unanimously. I believe we had all 6 voting members, so it was 6-0. And just to clarify, for 2022 EAF, they had 2 years to spend it down, which is why there are some carryover requests for 2022 EAF. But those were much smaller.
Oh,
and the
those were much
committee
smaller. Okay,
having
sorry about that.
concerns were. But 2023, there were some large EAF carryovers, largely because grantees were trying to spend down 2022 and 2023 at the same time. That was a common theme we heard. So yes, that's where Child Care Law Center's, California Women's Law Center's large carryover was, and then CCWRO had some budget revision and carryover concerns. So we're gathering additional information.
But that was a 1-year grant, right? For the EF, the 2023, I'm sorry. I think, is that what you want?
2023 is 1 year.
2023 was a 1-year EF grant.
Yes.
2022 was the 1 year that we gave, was the year
Yeah,
that we
we
gave them a large. And then IOLTA, we have, yes, we're in the middle of a large, like multi-year for IOLTA.
Okay, so sorry, and I'm just trying to recall everything. Okay, so the 2022 is because those are 2 years and they're asking for another chunk of
6
time.
months. Yeah.
Yeah, 6 months. And then the 2023 is just for the EAF because the IOLTA, they have multi-years and we've basically, but the EAF, the size of the IOLTA, the size of the prior IOLTA or EAFs is impacting them. Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to orient myself on this. I mean, if it was like kind of a lot of discussion, I'm hesitant to put it in consent if you think there's going to be significant conversation. But I don't know. I mean, what do you think? I mean, I think it's probably going to be fine. Like, we'll probably adopt the resolution, but I don't know.
I guess what was sort of the nature of the robust discussion? Is it something that it seems like kind of bigger picture that the commission should be concerned
yeah,
about or address, or that's the question that I have.
I mean, I think that would be the question. And the nature of it, because they were very large and there was more than usual, I think in the amount that was more than 50%. But again, the program showed up and they were very prepared. They had all but for 2 programs, and those are the 2 that are now have working group and a little bit more work that needs to be done. We're very articulate and very compelling in that they have an aggressive spend down plan. Danielle, did you?
Yes, the only other thing I would add is there was one, so California Women's Law Center, they approved with the understanding that they would need to send some additional information on their spend down plan to the staff. CCWRO, they did not approve, so that's something that would be, it's not delegated, but they chose not to use their delegated authority to make a recommendation there. So that one probably does, I might suggest would require some discussion since the committee didn't make a decision or a recommendation. And that's in that 2023 bucket.
So
But that could
4.2.
potentially be separated out as a different action item if you all wanted to move the rest of them to consent, just kind of floating potential options. I hope I'm not overstepping.
I'm inclined to try to put into consent as much as we can, because I feel like this is if there wasn't, to Erica's point, like if it was 4-2 or people abstaining, but if it was if there was consensus that was reached among the committee, along the lines of what we've been discussing, I think it's the sort of thing where, and the committee didn't say we think that the commission should have a broader discussion, or that it's not, I don't know. I'm inclined to say let's move it into consent, except where either the committee didn't act. And I guess that's the question I had for CCWRO, is that did they say our recommendation is to deny the request, or is it they just didn't act on
We
it?
didn't get the full information, so they didn't have all the information at
Right.
their fingertips in order to make a decision, and that was part of, that's why we have to get more information from CCRWO on that one.
Which we should have by the time by this
Yeah.
March 29th meeting. Okay.
So, and Erica, I mean, we could do that, is move all of the carryover, we'll rephrase it, move all the carryover and budget revisions, and there aren't really, again, controversial issues for the discretionary grants, the one that have, move all of those up, but keep the ones that are like the discrete, Danielle, we could keep the California Women's Law Center and CCRWO on the to approve, so that there's a little bit more discussion.
I think that makes sense. I mean, I understand the organizations may feel like we're, singling them out, but if at the committee level, they were the ones that needed discussion, it seems like, and especially if the committee wasn't able to act, I think we need to like keep them out. I'm also fine with the rest of it going up in consent.
Okay.
And
So we'll-
look, that we can always pull them out. Like if someone wants to, they can pull them out
Yeah.
of consent.
Yeah.
Right. It's not as if it's we take all discretion away.
And we also take like we can take public comment on if somebody raises it in public comment,
Exactly.
right? Okay.
Okay, so then what we'll do is 4.1, 4.2, 4.4, we will pull up and we'll leave like the one-off, need a little bit more of the discussion. And I don't believe the HP one, well, and actually, Jennifer did actually pull it out because they approved for the homelessness prevention, they approved everything, but for California Coalition, there is an issue with that one. And they're actually, and this one needs a discussion item because one of the recommendations from the committee is to move to a monthly payment until they get into compliance. So the commission probably needs to weigh in on that 4.3.
Yeah, my only suggestion, I think, and you guys will handle this, is just in the consent with the memo, just making clear like that the resolution excludes or only encompasses certain entities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I'll
Yeah,
do
that
that.
makes
So,
sense.
okay, so we'll keep again, we'll 4.1, 4.2, 4.4. We'll keep 4.3. Danielle, you'll give me a 4.2 that's just pertaining to those two programs. And then 4.5 was what Chris just presented on. And then 4.6, the care court is meeting soon, and then that is also going to be a delegation of authority because the timing on this care court piece is really tight because as you all remember, like cohort 1 is like happening right now, and that's 7 counties plus Los Angeles, and then it's supposed to then go statewide later this year. But the Budget Act, like it needs there for cohort 1, the funding ends, but we don't have money in hand, so there's like a weird like timing issue, so that there aren't lapse of like services. This one, that committee, I'm preempting it because they haven't actually met yet. Staff is asking that committee to recommend to the commission that delegation of authority so that they can move quickly.
Okay.
Okay.
I do think the delegations of authority should stay in the body and not go into consent. Okay. I think we're in agreement, but just wanted to confirm.
Yep. So those two will still be, so it'll end up being 4.3, 4.5, sorry, 4.6, and then the straggling kind of programs. And then these are all kind of updates. And some of these, we really do need to carve out time because they've been deferred, like, I think, like I want to say bank grants, like 2 or 3 meetings now. And I think out of respect for this grant program and the staff that put it together, we need to carve out. But I still think we can get through everything and still leave 45 minutes for strategic planning.
It feels like that SNL sketch. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that one. Is it Matt Damon who never gets to like the interview every time? Oh, we're out of time.
Yeah.
So then maybe should we move the 5-year strategic plan part like down? I mean, I know it's very important, but I'm just.
Oh yeah, so we can either move it down or move it up. I don't know. What do you want to do?
Well, if there's ones that we like really need to cover, my recommendation is like put like after your report, like put like
Okay.
the bank grant or whatever, just the ones that like we've been delaying,
Yeah.
like maybe let's put those up top,
Okay.
just so we make sure we get them done, because
Okay.
ideally, if we need to cut, if the strategic plan discussion goes to 30 minutes instead of 45, I don't want it to go to 45 and then we don't get a
Yeah.
chance to talk about these other ones.
Okay.
So
Okay. And then I think we will just need to, when I do the annotated agenda for you, Erica, I think
Mhm.
we do need to keep an eye out because we want to kind of get to these reports like probably at the midway mark so that we can get
Okay.
through all of this, get through all the business items at the midway mark to get through all of this comfortably.
yeah, so it seems like the only substantive stuff then would be the 2 delegations of authority, which
Mhm.
I need to be discussed, but I don't anticipate being particularly controversial, I hope. And then the 2 like organization specific issues, right?
Yeah. And I think the one that will be probably heavily discussed because California
Okay.
welfare rights is on there for 2 different committees. So, I think that will probably warrant a little bit more discussion with the committee. With the commission. And then, yeah, you're right. 4.5 and 4.6, I don't anticipate, the commission should be aware of it, but I don't anticipate controversy or a lot of discussion on it.
Okay, we have 4 hours.
We have 4 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I can, I'll work with the staff to make 4.5 and 4.6 a really concise, like really narrowed, like hone in on the issue, reasoning, and then it's like, they don't have to go through the whole like 5 slides on like background. It'll be a concise, I think, presentation. I think those 2 can be very
Great.
short. Okay. So we have time. And then just so you all know, I'm going to roll into the IOLTA just to make it condense this. My director's report is going to include the IOLTA revenue report within that. Sometimes I separate it out. I'm just gonna do it. Usually I have Michael do, but I'm just gonna do it just to move things along. And it's, as you know, it's pretty good. We're anticipating interest rates to drop sometime this year, and Michael has built that in to kind of revenue projections through this year and into next year. But even at that, it's still very
And they're
good.
not going to drop that much. Maybe. I mean, maybe. But
I think what Michael built in is a 1% by the end of the year.
really.
But
Okay, okay.
but we're conservative. I say
Yes.
that because we're conservative,
Right.
right?
Better to.
So that's,
I think it's worth being conservative, but
Yes.
I'd be surprised, but
yeah,
yeah,
I think so. It might
That's
not
a good
play out, but
idea.
I would rather be conservative and have a lot of money, like, and then, whether the other way
Totally.
around. But this is going to result, even with the conservative estimate, and we'll have more figures and like we'll do the spreadsheet for you all. It's going to still be a distribution of like 120 million plus from the next year. And so that's putting aside like the 25 million for reserve because our revenue is so strong. So this is good news though.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a
Tsunami.
question. Sorry, go ahead, Eric.
Oh no, I was just saying the money is a tsunami. It's great, but it's also like, how do you absorb it all?
But HP is like, HP is all ending. So
Good point. Good point.
I mean, we have other funding stream, like all the tranches of HP are ending. So we don't get HP5, which it's like a big question mark whether we can. Their programs we have to pivot into their IOLTA, and then next year consumer ends. And so there are funding streams are ending. Bank grant is ending. I think also, I can't remember if it's this year or next year. So a lot of our discretionary is ending. So yes, IOLTA is good, but also on the federal level though, like there's
Yeah.
been a lot of cuts. So it's great, the
Well,
IOLTA, but then everything else is kind of suffering a little bit.
Well, and state's going to be tough
Yeah.
this year too.
Yeah.
So yeah, we should continue to be, I think, responsive to, giving them more time or,
Yep.
other things, so, which I think we've done a great job of. Anyway, sorry. I mean, you were.
No, sorry. It's somewhat of a change of subject. I had 2 questions. One is somewhat related. On the HP question, what is the status of kind of the next tranche of HP or not pursuing that at all? Or what's
So, Selena is doing the advocacy request for us now. And so it's a big if because, excuse me, as you all know, the state budget is not doing well. So we'll see if we can get even something. And if we get something, it's going to be a small something. It's not going to be a continuous funding because we're distributing like, I think $30 or $40 million across all the tranches of HP. If we get something, it'll be maybe a third of that. And what we did, and we'll agendize this to share with the committee, because the commission, Jennifer and Crystal developed an HP fact sheet for the legislature that we gave to Selena and programs to do in their advocacy. So it's a really, it'll give you, the commission, I think, a really good sense of like what we can do with the data and how, and I don't know if you have it, Jennifer, we can share it with Amin and Erica now if you want to pull it up. But I think it could give us a sense of like the direction the commission going and like how impactful this work is. And they did a really beautiful job. You'll see, I don't want to steal the thunder, but they were able to take like a 30-page report that we provide to the Judicial Council that goes to DOF and shrink it into 2 pages. So it's really just very easy to kind of digest, because the other report, Laura, is not easy to digest. You have to really like read it because it's very dense, and it needs to be dense because we get a lot of information, so we have to have all the the explanation. But this is in a very, like, you can look at this in 2 minutes and really get a sense of like the impact. But sorry to put you on the spot, Jennifer, since I see you.
I have it. If
Have it? Yeah. Do you want to share it just so Amin and Erica can see?
Okay, so let me give you a bird's eye view first. This is the first page, and this is the second page. And just going up, I can zoom in a little bit. Do you want me to go through the spiel, or?
Yeah. If you spend a few minutes, I mean, we still have some time here.
Sure. Yeah, happy to do it. So this is the Homelessness Prevention Grant Impact Fact Sheet. It's designed to capture an overview of the grants holistically, looking at HP 1, 2, 3, and 4. We wanted to start by emphasizing that there is a funding cliff that will come at the end of 2024. So this graphic, I think, does a really good job of illustrating that quite literally. And then we used the graphic also to demonstrate the available reporting data and the amount of funding that it represents, in order to just reiterate to the legislature that what they'll see in this fact sheet does not capture the entire universe of the HP services that will be provided by the time this funding has run out in 2024. Next, we have the types of problems addressed. Crystal was really creative and thought that using a house graphic would be effective because this is homelessness prevention funding. The universe of problems addressed right now is 52,008. We pulled out some particular services, such as close to 11,000 evictions prevented, over 7,400 unfair or otherwise illegal behaviors stopped, a few others, and then just demonstrating that there were close to 30,000 other homelessness prevention legal problems addressed beyond the few specifics that we went into. In terms of impact of the HP funds, we wanted to parse this out into the total number of people in households served. That's over 110,000 Californians. And again, the number of HP legal problems that represents. We also wanted to talk about what we call economic benefits. So $18.8 million saved and $18.6 million recovered for clients. And just to note that those figures are underestimates. We only ask programs to report those figures when they're verifiable. So those are definitely underestimates. Moving down, we have homelessness prevention legal services provided. Keeping in mind that all of the work done, again, is for homelessness prevention legal aid. A lot of these services fall under housing law, but there are a lot of other areas of law represented. You see them here. We have income maintenance and consumer finance, family and domestic violence, health and long-term care, employment and disability rights, and many others. Then we wanted to talk about what we call non-representation legal services. You may have heard me or Chris talk about this as other services to clients. So these are services provided to individuals, but they are not resulting in an attorney-client relationship being formed. So we have over 29,000 hotline calls,
over 2,000 workshops and trainings, close to 2,000 outreach events, and 879 self-representation clinics. Next, we have some demographics. So those who have served on the HP Funds Committee and the Commission will recall that the HP grants look at certain demographics in particular. They also are statutorily designed to target services to rural Californians. So in particular, we looked at persons with disabilities, veterans, and persons with limited English proficiency. We also captured data about age. So we were able to pull out data about seniors who were served, and again, about rural Californians. And as you can see, the grants have done a really good job to serve these underserved groups throughout California. And then just to note, for this graphic, we shifted away from the number of services provided and we focused on the number of clients. Those numbers are slightly different because some clients received more than one legal service. And then finally, we have clients served, where we look at data on race and ethnicity and gender of HP legal problems addressed. As you can see, in some areas, we're doing a really good job of serving underserved demographics, but there's still some work to be done in that area. And I'm happy to answer questions if anyone has questions.
And Erica and me, what we're hoping to do is actually one of these kind of fact sheets for each of our grants, and then one that's a little bit more extensive across all of our grants that includes IOLTA and EF funding too. Just so people know, the programs have done such incredible work, but we don't have a snapshot of it as a community. So this would be great for, and we're hoping at some point like this can be like templated, and then programs can actually just take this and plug in their numbers and they can just adapt it for their individual program. So that's like the long-term goal. But I think for this year, what we're trying to do is roll out these fact sheets. Elizabeth's actually doing the next one, the Legal Aid Leaders Fellowship, just because of that. Between that $5 and $10 increase, we want to have something in case somebody asks, like, what's the impact and why should we do this? So again, we'll have to kind of prioritize the ordering doing it, but we're hoping to get them actually all done, hopefully this year.
I mean, this looks amazing. I'm so impressed with the work, I guess, Jennifer, you and Crystal did on this. It looks great. It's so digestible. I would love if there was a way that we could put this like on our webpage in some way to be like what we do, and then like put, these amazing fact sheets on there. Just maybe no one will see it, but
Elizabeth and I are meeting, like literally like we're meeting with our communications department to explain like what the vision and why we're doing these fact sheet, and then we will look at our website and then see like how can we beef it up so it's more dynamic. And then there's actually a lot of ideas related to this. One thing, and I won't go into too much because maybe the commission can have more discussion on this, but this is really just a sliver of the HP information we actually have with HP, not with all other grants, but the HP data is broken up by zip code. Like we can tell in any given county, like the number of people that we helped prevent an eviction. So we could do something, this is like our wish list, right? Like if we could do some dynamic map, and then we can go to like any county and see what are all the the outcomes that were achieved for HP. Maybe that would be, and again, that's really work intensive. So we'll see, but there's a lot of things that we can do, right? But at least it gives us a starting point of like what can be done with the data. And I think the commission would kind of enjoy this type of conversation.
I mean, I think this is very related to like what we talked about at our in-person meeting, right? Was like, how do we kind of tell our story? This is such a great illustration of that. The reports are great too. I'm not shrugging on them. And I know you guys do a lot of work to like get those like beefier reports, but this is just also a great way to kind of highlight very quickly like what we do. And so amazing. I love the house. I love all the illustrations. Just it's amazing.
But I mean, the 110,000 people and households that we've helped with this grant is such a, like, it's, I mean,
Yes,
you know,
the
the high
I
impact,
didn't,
it's amazing.
I didn't mean to shrug on the actual work. I'm so
Yeah.
impressed with the
No,
like
no, but yeah.
infographics, but like, yes, the work itself also blowing my mind. It's amazing to see
Yeah.
the kind of stuff. And I thought, and it's a very easy way to be like, look, this is what your money's doing. And guess what? I thought that the point Jennifer up top about like, look, we don't even have all the data in, right? So like your work, the benefits from this money are going to continue to um, there's going to continue to be benefits. So very exciting.
I mean, we're very conservative with our data. That's why Jennifer gave that caveat of verified versus unverified. But I mean, in terms of the economic data, there is a lot more that we could do that we haven't done. I mean, Jennifer and I have talked about this at length in terms of the HP. There are lots of types of like investments that we can do in terms of evaluations. Like we do it just at the moment. We look at the data at the moment the case is closed, right? But there's more things that we can do like beyond them that other studies can do, like track the client for like 6 months or a year. Those are really cost intensive. But you know, we have
Yeah.
heard from programs like, hey, if you're at the state bar, why don't you just do it and then like scale it out kind of a thing, or have some estimate. And we haven't done that. So again, this is like a starting point to have that type of conversation, I think, with the commission and also with the community to see, is this something that you want the state bar and the commission to kind of undertake and invest our admin money to build out even more? Or maybe this is like sufficient. I don't know. That's a question that like I think warrants a really in-depth kind of discussion.
Can I ask, like, this is amazing. How much work was it? Like, is it the kind of thing that's like sustainable to do for each of the grants and stuff, or is this like, do we need like other positions, or I'm just kind of curious on that front, because
I mean, we
I
had
think it's
all the
really great,
data.
but
We had
Yeah.
all the data for our DOF report that we give to Laura and Melanie. So that was good that we had that. With that said, it was still an incredible amount of work. I mean,
yeah,
Selena gave us the heads up that she was meeting, programs were meeting. They had like a day in Sacramento, I think it was last week. And what did we get the lead time, Jennifer? A month to do this?
About a month.
About a
Yeah.
month. And I would say Jennifer is probably not going to say this to you, but yeah, for Jennifer and Crystal, it felt crunch. So I think,
I believe that.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't. I mean, Crystal leads our evaluation work, so I think like the next one, Elizabeth and Crystal are going to work on that one, right? So it's not every staff. They have a team, so I think we would spread it out. Again, we would prioritize, and like that's why we're prioritizing legal aid fellows, because of the increase from $5 to $10 in case somebody asks. And then I think we would go kind of down the line. At some point, I do think we need an EEF across the board, because we just need something to be able to talk about our grants generally.
No, totally. I feel like it all makes sense. I guess what my thought is, like, ideally you'd like do new ones every year or so,
Oh
right?
yeah.
It's like, and so that's why I'm just trying to get a sense of and maybe like once you build one out, you know what I mean, or a couple out, it's like not that hard to kind of refresh them.
Well, I think that's exactly what it is, because I think what we struggled like for the first 2 weeks, me, Jennifer, and Crystal, was like, what are the points that we're going to highlight and how are we going to do it? Like, I'll just show you, because it's still on here. This graph right here, this chart with underserved client demographics, we've gone through a couple iterations of that. One iteration was doing percentages, because that we had that at hand, but then like with Selena's feedback, and then we took a closer look, we're like, the percentages just doesn't resonate. We actually need like sheer numbers. And so we had to actually pull in another staff to work with Jennifer to get the sheer number. But I think that staff worked continuously for like 2 days to get that. So some of this is deceptively, like, you wouldn't think how time consuming it is to kind of get this 24,000 number, but it is an incredible
I
amount
believe
of work.
it. Yeah.
But I think once we have the template now, right? And then like maybe some of this won't be as manual. Like we can purchase. I think we should think about that, because if this is like what is resonating, like sheer numbers or certain things, I think we need to like preemptively plan for that. And maybe by purchasing more software or whatever it is. But like, we had a really hard time, right, Jennifer, thinking about in a 2-page, what are the things that we're gonna like, what we're gonna highlight, because there could have been other things that we could have highlighted.
Yeah, took a bit of time.
Yeah. I just wanted to flag that, because like this is amazing, and I think the commission's gonna be like, yes, do this for everything, but also I don't want you guys to like, I want to make sure I know you're also doing TA for programs and all your ongoing work, which is all very amazing. So wanted to preempt that a little bit and just be like, where are we on how much all of this is? This is great, but I want, you know, yeah, what resources should we make sure you guys have?
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah,
course.
I want to echo that concept. I think this is something that would be, I think there's value obviously in us knowing and in us seeing it in this format, like the commission, and being able to kind of like, you can understand, I feel like you can understand it better, seeing kind of the zoomed out big picture, all these different aspects of it. I think it's fantastic, and I think it's really important. And for folks to know, you know, what our work is. I have to imagine that the legislature likes the idea of having something like this that they can use to sort of, because you know, this is money that they've voted and or that they've kind of earmarked, and I can see value in if we do need to direct more of the funds. I know that we have a very small percentage of admin that we take, but if we need to increase that by, you know, a smidge to like incorporate this element, whether it's like, you know, whatever that looks like, if it's software, if it's, you know, maybe we need more of like a communications oriented role in the program. I don't know what that looks like necessarily, but like I think it's worth that discussion, and I think these sorts of things are valuable. And I got I think that feedback and that kind of discussion that we had a few weeks back, this fits sort of right into that same line. So yeah, no, this is great. Thank you, Jennifer and Crystal and everybody for putting this together and putting all the work into it.
I will also say, I actually think that we'll probably educate so much of our commissioners too on like the impact that our stuff has. So, you know, it's great for the legislature too, but I'm very excited that, you know, to the extent that you guys make more of these, I think that'll really resonate with them.
Yeah,
And
it's
for the
going to be
programs,
really,
I
really
think to
helpful
see,
for the judicial
Oh,
council as well, for
yeah.
us to be able to instantly answer. We get these questions out of left field and somebody wants an answer right now. And it's just lovely to be able to say, well, here's a matter of fact graphic that we already thought about. We're not guessing. They look really good too. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I was
as
just
someone
gonna
who,
say, like, you know, we have a lot of reporting requirements, and like, I think showing programs too, like, hey, this is why you're reporting to us, like why they like you're not
Yeah.
doing it, and we
Yeah.
like, you know, like we're really trying to make good
Totally.
use of the
You
data.
you fit into this.
Yes.
This is like the bigger picture that you fit into. Yeah.
yeah, but I will say, having just tried to get into a 15-page brief, it takes a lot of work to take really complicated stuff and shrink them down. So very much impressed, and want to make sure you guys have what you need. And to the extent we can support that, like, I'm sure I support it, and I'm sure the rest of the commission, when they see this work product, will too. Also, who's the graphic designer on the team? That was like amazing.
It was, yeah, so we hired a graphic designer to help us, but we're also going to be using, what is that program, Jennifer, that you use? Is it
Yeah,
Visme, Folio, something? I can't remember. There's a couple out there that are really
it's Visme.
sophisticated now. Yeah, Visme, that has lots
Yeah.
of like graphics
Huh.
and so yeah. I couldn't believe that they shrunk it to 2 pages. I was actually in Hawaii when it got
Amazing.
sent, and I was like, wow, I could just, you know, before I left, I was like, you guys try to shrink it to 2 or 3 pages, and they were able to do it in 2 pages, and I was just like really blown away.
Yeah, it's like those you know, you get those like little white papers, right? You know, that are like only like a couple pages, and then you're just like, oh wow, that was a really easy way to make that super succinct. And Jennifer, you were doing like working groups with me on the rules committee, so super props. I know you've been stuck going back and forth with quality controls, and you're doing this. I don't know how you do it.
Thanks.
Cool. Okay, well, I think, is there anything else that we should talk about before we wrap up?
I actually had one more question. At what point at what logical point do we anticipate getting a report back from the care court committee about kind of what's happening on that? Or is it like what's
Oh, we can
what's
wrap
happening?
it into their report
Yeah.
on delegation of authority if you want a little bit more of a robust report. But I'll just say this: the staff held a convening, an in-person convening with all the Care Court One participants in Los Angeles a couple of weeks ago. Laura and Melanie. Melanie, I thought Melanie. I don't know if Laura was there, but Melanie was there in person. It was really well attended. It was a lot of really honest feedback. The discussions gave a lot of like, again, very honest, like if this is why we participate in a care court, these are the challenges and these are the things that are actually going well. So we've been asked by both public defender's office and by legal aid to have more of that type of like in-person like convening and sharing of information. And now we're preparing for to go statewide. So that's why the RFP and then getting the word out. And that's why part of the reason why they had a convening was not just to share amongst the cohort one, but really to share with the broader community of like, if you're considering this, these are the things that you might want to consider, and these might be the challenges, and these are kind of strategies to tackle some of these kind of challenges. But it's been going, I have to say, I think that the case numbers from some counties are a little bit lower, I think, than what was anticipated, but there haven't been anything that's like salacious or negative, if that's like the question. Like if you Google it, there's been articles about it, but nothing like nothing too controversial at this point. So I think from that vantage, it's going okay. I don't know, Laura, Melanie, if you have like an assessment, we can provide a more full. I can ask Chris, who's the committee coordinator for that one, to provide more full reports to the commission.
Yeah, I think the implementation and where it's going is actually it's better than I expected. So I think that what we're seeing, of course, we don't have actual numbers to report out because everybody's very nervous about their numbers, and we've got to make sure they all match and all of those things. But just informally, we're seeing a good number of petitions coming in. It's not an overwhelming amount. Matter of fact, it feels to the providers a little bit slow, and frankly, in my assessment, that's a great thing. Because I think we are getting ready to roll out the other 50 courts in another 8 months.
Yeah,
And then the word's going to be out statewide, and I think we're going to see a lot more. Right now, what we're seeing come into the front door, most of the petitioners are coming through the self-help centers, and they are NAMI families. So NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and they are the families who pushed for the CARE Act. So they worked very hard to make sure that their people are ready to file the petitions. And again, we work together very closely to make sure that when they come into the self-help centers, they've got all the avenues, and we're educating them. And then for the 2 QLSPs in San Francisco, who are providing services, again, they were at gosh, I've been to so many site visits lately. I've gone to 18.
They were on the panel, yeah.
Yeah, in the last 2 months. But yeah, they were on the panel, and it's just fascinating to hear about the work they're doing. They are having petitions filed. They are representing the respondents. It feels like all of the cases are just barely at the front end of court proceedings, so we really haven't seen involvement of, for instance, voluntary supporters, but we are seeing a lot of work that's being done by behavioral health and mental health around the housing issues, and some of the solutions that they're coming up with are just amazing and will give you hope for the future. So I think the program is rolling out very well. We're being very careful about the next 50, and we have a lot of work to do. Well, when it comes around to this end of the year, and when we're looking at what happens with the budget, and we're looking at 50 more counties coming on board, and then we're looking at the QLSPs and the support centers who might have a different I think when the idea first came out, there was just an awful lot of confusion about what it would look like. And and whether certain people's rights would be truncated, and was it a good thing? Was it a bad thing? And so I think now that the program has unveiled in the counties that it's rolling in, people, and I'm hoping QLSPs and support centers as well, have really had an opportunity to see what that looks like, and to see how the relationships are building between the different agencies, and how it's working in court and who it's really benefiting. So it'll be good to see who, if anyone, wants to step up to the plate with this next round of funding. And then what I can say on our part for Laura and I, we are of course always cognizant and already getting ready to put as fast as we can funding contracts together so that we keep that flow going for
Yeah.
the programs and for you and for everything else. So I feel like it's going well. Knock wood.
But yeah, it's been an incredible amount of work with both the JC staff team and our staff team, that I do think with this next tranche we'll probably will hire out. But we're still working that out too, because the governor's budget, the admin fees on that looked a little bit slim to us from what was originally proposed. So the Judicial Council is now inquiring to see if we're getting that full admin that we had budgeted. I'm hoping, keeping my fingers crossed, that that was just kind of an error and that they will supplement us, because that amount that suggested right now would not be enough for us to administer the program the way that I think everybody's envisioning. And with this kind of like really heavy technical assistance and us like convening folks and providing that, like really helping in the development and implementation, that would not cover our costs for both Judicial Council and the State Bar. So there are a lot of things to be worked out in this upcoming months.
And also, just one more thing is that we are going to have 2 convenings next month in Sacramento for self-help centers. And one will be April 5th for small and medium courts, and then April 30th will be the large and super duper large courts. We do have a little room. It's going to be in person, but if 1 or 2 of you wanted to come over and just catch what we're doing, we're open to that. So just let me know.
Is it only in person, or is there
It is only in person. So, and our day will look, it's a duplicate day again. So it'll be Judge Brown from Sacramento. It'll be our keynote. We're going to do self-assessment. So going through a tool to have them start thinking about what their facilities look like and la 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 and all that. And then we are going to have a panel of cohort 1 courts, self-help center people talk, and then we're also going to have a panel of NAMI and people with lived experience. So that's kind of our day, if that helps.
Yeah, maybe we should mention it to the Care Court Committee, see if any of those members are interested in joining as well.
Sure.
Just throwing it out there.
I'll work with
that's a good
Chris,
idea.
Melanie, to share with the committee.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, if it was in Sac, I would definitely think. Is it in Sac? It's not in Sacramento.
It's in
is it?
Sacramento. Yes,
is in
it is.
Oh, it is.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. If you can send me the info, I might at
Okay.
least come over for a little bit. I'd love to hear
Great.
how it's going.
Okay.
I
Sorry,
think that's
I,
a
like,
good idea,
missed.
that committee, because when I was listening to the convening a couple weeks ago, I was like, oh man, some of our commissioners would have loved to hear the panel, because the 2 programs from San Francisco that presented, it was just kind of so thoughtful the way they have been working with the public defender's office, and the public defender's office was also on the panel and kind of talked about how that relationship has developed. And it was just really beautiful to see that, because it's not always in every kind of county that they can work together like that. And you could see when it works out, why it would be beneficial to a client. But I was thinking that we probably should do a better job involving more commissioners on that level.
And please include me. I don't know if I can make it on the first day, but possibly the second day. So I'd love to be included on that distribution.
Okay.
Thank
We'll
you.
send you I'll make sure that they send you the sign up, the registration link. Great. Okay, and sorry, I've got to jump off for a different meeting. So thank you. Bye.
No problem. I think we're about wrapping up, or Amin, did you have any other questions or things you wanted to raise?
I don't think so. I think that was it. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, I think more generally, I'd be curious to hear if there's more organizations interested in participating in care
Mhm.
court. But that's something we can maybe talk about, you know, if the committee has any input on that, or we may just not know yet now, but
Mhm.
I am kind of curious about that and whether
Yeah.
there's what the vibe is on participating. Well, thank you guys so much. Great meeting. I thought this was like very like useful, and appreciate all the work on it, and look forward to seeing you guys at the end of the month for the full commission meeting.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good one. Bye bye.
Everybody, thank you.